A teenager wakes to a phone call from her mother, but her mother had been dead for months. What happened next left her family shattered. Make sure you subscribe and share, because this story is one you won't forget. It happened on a Thursday night. The house was quiet, the kind of quiet that makes you hear your own heartbeat. Lily had dozed off while scrolling through her phone, earbuds in, when the sound of the house phone jolted her awake. At first, she thought she dreamed it. Nobody used the landline anymore. It sat in the hallway like a relic, dusty and ignored. Still, the shrill ringing cut through the silence again, insistent. She slipped out of bed and padded into the hall. The hardwood cooled beneath her bare feet. The red light on the phone blinked with each chime. She picked it up. Hello? There was static on the other end. Then a pause. And then a voice. Lil, it's me. Come outside. Her breath caught in her throat. The voice was calm, familiar, a voice she had heard every day of her life. Her mother's voice. But her mother had been dead for 6 months. Lily stood frozen, gripping the receiver so tightly her knuckles turned white. She wanted to slam it down, but she couldn't. The line had already gone dead. Her mind spun. Maybe she was overtired. Maybe someone was playing a sick prank. But no one outside the family even knew they still had this number. She found herself drifting to the front door without fully realizing it. Each step felt heavy, like her body was moving against her will. She turned the deadbolt, her fingers trembling, and pulled the door open. The porch light buzzed weakly. Beyond it, the yard stretched out into shadows. The trees swayed in the night wind, their branches creaking like old bones. But there was no one there. "Mom," she whispered. Her voice cracked as soon as the word left her lips. Silence, just the sound of leaves rustling. Her chest tightened as she shut the door quickly and locked again. Whatever that was, it wasn't her mother. It couldn't be. She rushed upstairs, heart pounding so loudly she could barely hear herself think. She had to see her brothers. She had to make sure they were safe. She flung open Eli's bedroom door first. He was fast asleep, his blanket tangled around him, oblivious. Relief washed over her for a moment. Then she pushed open Ryan's door. Her stomach dropped. The bed was empty. The sheets were thrown back like he'd gotten up in a hurry. His shoes were missing from the floor. "Ryan!" Her whisper was sharp, desperate. She checked the closet, the bathroom. Nothing. Her pulse raced as she turned back to his bed. That's when she saw it. Lying on his pillow, right where his head should have been, was the house phone. Not a cordless phone. The actual receiver. It wasn't even plugged into the wall. But its little screen glowed in the dark, casting a pale green light. And on that glowing screen, one word appeared. "MOM." Lily staggered backward, her throat tightening, tears burning her eyes. She wanted to scream, but no sound came out. Her brother was gone as if death had just called him away. Her father's voice cracked with panic as he dialed 911, pacing the kitchen in frantic circles. Lily sat at the table, numb, watching the seconds stretch into what felt like hours. When the red and blue lights finally swept across the windows, she nearly burst into tears of relief. 2 officers stepped in, one younger, one older, both scanning the house with guarded eyes. "What exactly happened here tonight?" The older one asked. Lily opened her mouth, but her father cut in first. "My son is missing. He was here when we went to bed. When my daughter woke up, he was gone." The younger officer pulled out a notebook. "Any signs he might have run away? Argument? Trouble at school?" "No," Lily blurted. "He didn't run away. He was taken." The men exchanged a glance. "Taken by who?" Her voice trembled. "My mom called me." The words seemed to freeze the air in the room. The officer's pens hovered above paper, waiting. "My mother told me to come outside." Lily's throat tightened. "But she's been dead for 6 months." The younger cop frowned. "You're saying someone pretended to be her?" "No," Lily whispered. It was her voice. "I know it was." Her father pressed a hand against her shoulder. "She's in shock," he muttered. "We all are." Still, the officers searched the house. Every room, every closet, every inch of the basement. They checked the locks, the doors, the windows. Nothing was broken. Nothing was forced. Ryan was just gone. When they stepped outside, flashlights cutting across the yard, Lily stood at the porch, hugging herself. Their beams danced across empty grass, silent trees, and a cracked driveway. No footprints. No signs of anyone leaving. After nearly an hour, the older officer sighed, shutting his notebook. We'll put out a missing persons report and keep patrols in the area. But if he comes home, you call us right away. And just like that, they were gone. The house fell quiet again, too quiet. Lily hated it. Every creak of the wood, every groan of the pipes made her flinch. Unable to sit still, she climbed the stairs and slipped into Ryan's room. The morning sun was just starting to bleed through the curtains, gray and weak. She scanned the space, her eyes stinging. That's when she noticed the window. It wasn't shut all the way. The screen had been nudged outward, bent just slightly, heart pounding. She pushed it open wider and leaned out. The dirt below was soft from last week's rain, and in it, faint but unmistakable, were footprints. Bare feet, but they weren't leading away from the house. They were leading toward it. Lily staggered back, nearly tripping over the edge of Ryan's bed. Later that morning, when Eli finally woke, he was pale and restless. He sat at the kitchen table, silent for a long time, picking at his cereal until he finally looked up. "I heard her too," he said softly. His eyes glistened with tears. Lily froze. "Who?" "Mom." His voice cracked. "She was in my room last night. She was humming." The words hung in the air like smoke. Her father slammed his hand on the table. "Enough! Do you hear yourselves? You're feeding into this. Your mother is gone. We're not going to pretend she isn't." But Eli didn't look convinced. And deep down, neither did Lily, because she had heard it too. And no matter how badly she wanted to believe it wasn't real, she knew it was. That night, none of them slept. Her father stayed in the living room, a baseball bat propped against the wall within reach. Lily and Eli huddled under blankets on the couch, staring at the muted glow of the TV, as if the flickering images could somehow keep the dark at bay. No one said Ryan's name. It was like speaking it would make everything worse. Hours crept by. Midnight came and went. Lily's eyelids grew heavy. Just as she felt herself drifting, the silence shattered. Her phone vibrated against the table, screen glowing bright. "Caller ID MOM." Her chest tightened instantly. "Don't touch it." Her father snapped, his voice sharp. But before she could even process what was happening, Eli's phone lit up too, then her father's. All three phones rang at once. The sound was deafening in the quiet room, a shrill, overlapping chorus that made the walls seem to tremble. Her father cursed under his breath and snatched his phone off the table. He ripped the back off, yanking the battery free and tossing both pieces to the floor. But the screen didn't die. It flickered, glowing faintly with the same word. Lily's phone buzzed harder, skittering across the wooden table as it rang. The sound seemed to fill her head, drilling into her skull. She clutched her knees to her chest, fighting the urge to pick it up. The ringing stopped. For a heartbeat, the silence was worse than the sound. The room felt heavy, like the air itself had thickened. Then Lily's phone buzzed once. A voicemail notification. Her father snatched it up before she could react. His thumb hovered, trembling, then he pressed play. At first, just static, harsh, grating, like someone dragging metal across glass. Then, layered beneath it, a voice. Soft, familiar. "Ryan is safe," it whispered. Lily's blood ran cold. It was her mother's voice, exactly as she remembered it. The warmth, the gentle lilt. Except beneath it was something else. A rasp, like multiple voices speaking in unison. The message continued. 2 more to go. The recording cut to silence. Her father's face was pale as he set the phone down slowly, like it was a bomb. Eli whimpered. She said Ryan's safe. That means he's okay, right? Lily looked at him. His small face was pale, eyes wide with a desperate hope. But his hands shook. And then he said something that made her stomach twist. "I've talked to her too." Her father's head snapped up. "What do you mean you've talked to her?" Eli swallowed hard. When she called me last week, I answered. She told me she missed me. She said she'd come back for us. Lily's breath caught. Eli, why didn't you say anything? Tears welled in his eyes. Because it felt real. It felt like her, I didn't want it to stop. Her father stood suddenly, knocking over his chair. His hands were shaking with rage or fear. Lily couldn't tell which. No more. Do you hear me? No more phones. No answering. No listening. But Lily could see the truth in Eli's eyes. He wanted to believe. And deep down, Parher did too. Because the voice hadn't just sounded like their mother. It had been their mother. She knew it. And if she admitted that, it meant Ryan was really gone. And Eli could be next. The morning after the voicemail, the house felt poisoned. Every sound made them jump. The groan of the pipes, the tick of the clock, even the fridge humming in the corner. Lily's father didn't go to work. Instead, he cleared the dining table and spread out every phone they owned like they were evidence in a crime scene. His jaw was tight, eyes bloodshot from lack of sleep. We're going to figure out where these are coming from, he muttered. Lily sat across from him, hugging her knees. She didn't know what scared her more. The idea that the calls were supernatural, or that her father believed he could find a rational answer. He started with the house phone records. The company hadn't billed them in months because the line was officially disconnected. Yet somehow, there were call logs from a single number. He froze when he saw it. The number belonged to her mother's old cell phone, the one they'd sealed in a shoebox with her jewelry and keepsakes after the funeral. He dug out a closet, pried the lid off the box, and pulled out the phone. The screen was cracked, the battery swollen and corroded. It hadn't been charged in months. It shouldn't even turn on. But when he pressed the power button, for a split second, the screen flickered. Just enough to flash the word, connecting. Then it went black again. Lily's father swore under his breath and shoved the phone back in the box. His hands shook as he closed the lid. It's a glitch, he said quickly. It has to be. But Lily wasn't convinced. That evening, as the sky turned orange and shadows stretched across the yard, their neighbor, Mrs. Callahan, stopped by with a casserole. She was an older woman who'd lived on the street for decades. She took one look at their pale faces and asked softly, "You've been getting the calls, haven't you?" The room went silent. "What do you mean?" Lily's father asked carefully. Mrs. Callahan lowered her voice. "You're not the first family. This house, it's always been calls." She told them about the 1940s, when this neighborhood was just farmland and telephone poles. The house had belonged to a switchboard operator named Walter Griggs. He worked the night shift at the exchange office, patching calls through manually. One night, Walter claimed he started hearing voices that weren't on any line, voices of the dead. He told people phone lines were a doorway, and the dead were trying to come through. Most thought he was insane, until his own family vanished, one by one. His wife, his children, gone. No trace. A week later, Walter was found hanging in the switchboard room. The receiver still clutched to his ear. Lily felt her stomach twist as Mrs. Callahan's voice dropped even lower. Every family that's lived here since, the same thing happens. The calls start, then the children disappear. Her father slammed his fist against the table. That's just a story. An old wives' tale. Mrs. Callahan didn't argue. She just looked at Lily with sad, knowing eyes. "Be careful, sweetheart. Once they start calling, they don't stop." That night, her father doubled down. He turned off the power to the house, yanked cords from the walls, even pulled the batteries from their phones. "We're cutting this off at the source," he said, voice shaking with determination. They all slept in the living room again, the darkness thicker without the hum of appliances. For a while, it seemed to work. Hours passed in silence. No ringing, no buzzing, no static. Then, sometime after midnight, Lily woke to the sound of humming. A lullaby, her mother's lullaby. It was faint at first, drifting from the hallway, then closer. She turned her head slowly and saw Eli sitting up, eyes wide, staring at the darkness beyond the couch. "Mom," he whispered. Lily bolted upright. "Eli, don't." But before she could finish, he stood and walked toward the hallway like he was sleepwalking. She leapt from the couch to grab him, but the moment her hand brushed his sleeve, every phone in the house lit up at once. They weren't plugged in. They weren't even powered. But their screens glowed in unison, filling the dark room with pale green light. Every display showed the same word. MOM. Eli turned to her then, tears in his eyes. She says Ryan's with her. She says it's okay. And before Lily could stop him, he slipped out of her grasp and into the hallway. The humming faded with his footsteps. By the time her father scrambled to his feet and flicked on a flashlight, Eli was gone. His blanket lay crumpled on the floor. His phone sat buzzing faintly beside it, screen glowing bright. MOM. The silence after Eli's disappearance was unbearable. The house felt cavernous now, every room echoing with absence. His blanket still lay in a heap on the living room floor, the small indentation of his body still pressed into it. Lily couldn't bring herself to move it. Her father barely spoke. He stayed at the table with his laptop and a small digital recorder, scribbling notes, his face hollow with exhaustion. He looked more like a man waiting for an execution than someone solving a mystery. "We'll catch it this time," he muttered to himself. "We'll get proof. Someone will have to believe us." Lily wanted to tell him it wasn't someone. It wasn't human. But the words caught in her throat. All she could think about was the voicemail. Her mother's voice, so warm and familiar, whispering promises that weren't hers. The sound of her lullaby echoing from the hall. And now, Eli was gone just like Ryan. She wondered if they were really safe, if they were really with their mom, or if something else had them. That night, the house felt heavier than ever. Lily lay curled on the couch, staring into the shadows, while her father sat rigid at the table, the recorder positioned in front of him. The digital clock on the wall glowed 12:16, and then, right on cue, 12:17. Every phone in the house lit up at once. Not just their cell phones. Not just the unplugged receiver from Ryan's room. Even the old, broken flip phones tossed in a drawer. Every device glowed bright in the dark. Screens flickering the same word over and over again. MOM. The ringing started. One phone, then another, then all of them, together, blaring so loudly the walls seemed to vibrate. Her father pressed record, his hand trembling. "Don't answer," he whispered. The sound grew sharper, higher, until it didn't sound like ringing anymore. It sounded like screaming. Then silence. Lily's phone buzzed once. A new voicemail. Her father grabbed it and pressed play. Static. Then her mother's voice, soft, but warped this time, guttural, layered with dozens of whispers beneath it. "They're waiting for you, Lily. Let me in." Her father slammed the phone down. His voice cracked. "Don't listen. It's not her." But Lily was already crying, her chest aching, because it did sound like her. More than anything, it sounded like her. The phones began to buzz again. Every screen filled with words now, glitching, flickering. "Open the door. Let me in. We're together." The front door rattled violently, the deadbolt clanging against the frame. Windows shuddered in their panes. A low hum filled the walls, like hundreds of voices speaking at once, bleeding through the wires. The lights flickered and then went out. In the dark, Lily could hear it. Her mother's voice, clear as day. "Lily, sweetheart, it's me. I'm here. Open the door. I've missed you." Her father clutched her arm. "It's not her. Don't you dare." His grip was tight, desperate. But Lily's heart broke at the sound. It was her. The same gentle tone that used to call her in for dinner. The same voice that used to sing her to sleep. "Please," the voice whispered. "Just open the door. We could be together again." Tears blurred her vision as she pulled away from her father's grasp. "Dad, it sounds just like her." "No," he screamed. "Lily, it's not her." But she was already at the door. Her hands shook as she twisted the lock. The last thing the recorder captured was the click of the deadbolt, the creak of hinges, and Lily's broken whisper, "Mom." Then came the static, a deafening roar of overlapping voices, shrieking and laughing, shaking the house until the recorder finally cut off. The next morning, neighbors noticed the front door hanging open. The house was silent. The police found no sign of Lily, her father, or either of her brothers. The only thing left was a recorder on the kitchen table, still running. The final hour of the tape contained nothing but silence, and faintly, at the very end, a single word whispered into static, connected